Good morning, or good. Well, some places it's early afternoon yet, like in Eastern Time Zone. Every place else we're still good morning, unless you're over in the pond. But anyway, today's a late catch-up stream, and even later than what I fully expected to be because, well, life happens. And as I was getting ready to go live, something else happened, and well, it caused a delay. But I'm here. Hey, Data, how's it going, my friend? I'm here and I got a few things. I'm just a little irritated today. I don't know how aggravated I'm going to get, how loud I'm going to get, but I don't know. There's just things going on. And I'm going to start off here with the border. I don't have a lot of videos and such to show today, I don't think. All right. I may pull some stuff up. I don't know. But I mean, a lot of this stuff we just don't need to really have videos to talk about because we know what we. Now I muted that phone. I don't know why it's ringing. Hey, Dar, good morning. Or yeah, it's still morning there where you're at.
Ahoy.
No, it's afternoon where you're at now.
Yeah, it's almost 1 o'clock, dude.
Yeah. Yeah,
It's almost 1300.
Well, you know, my father-in-law is still here. And he likes my cooking. He wants me making breakfast every morning, and I can't make breakfast until he's ready to eat it. And then other crap, life happens sometimes, just gets in the way. And plants, well, spittle buggies,
Yeah.
And okay, well, I'm glad it's still morning there. I'm glad spittle, but anyway. So what's new in your life today, there, Dar?
Not much. I was just reading an article about the Supreme Court's ruling on 230.
Oh, they come out the 230 ruling?
Court sort of, kind of.
What they got?
Of course, it was the conservative brief is the article, so it's going to be slanted, right?
Right.
So it was about a quarter way done with it. They have decided not to do anything with 230 at this point.
Oh.
They nixed a couple of lawsuits about 230. Yeah, so the Supreme Court left in place a broad liability shield for social media companies known as Section 230, a triumph for Twitter, Facebook, and Google. And so I was just kind of reading down through here. I hadn't got to the end. So I'm not, and a lot of these things, the way they're written is, just tell us what you're going to tell us. And, instead, no, got to write in such a way to be so freaking confusing. And of course, got to get in all our talking points and stuff. So, but yeah, so it looks like 230 isn't going anywhere.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm looking at the uh where okay. I got the Axios story here on it. So let's pull that up. Okay, Supreme Court keeps 230 intact in Twitter and Google rulings. Supreme Court on third ruled Twitter is not subject to claims that aided and abetted terrorism for hosting tweets from ISIS and dismissed a related case involving YouTube, a major legal win for the two social media programs. Twitter versus Tommen, the court unanimously ruled that Twitter, having hosted terroristic speech, did not mean it was legally responsible for terrorist attacks, and claims could not be brought under the federal anti-terrorism. Okay. In a separate lawsuit involving Google and YouTube, the court said would not address whether 230 of the which Sergeant Shields on can be applied to such claims. In that case, Gonzalez versus Google, plaintiffs argued YouTube should not get 230 liability protection for recommendations, the way it sorts videos and shows users relevant results. Okay, I've got no problem saying that you okay. Where I've got a problem with Section 230 in YouTube and Google and Twitter and any social program. If
Yeah,
the if these things have a terms of service and say we can kick you off if you say something we don't like, then they should not get 230 protection.
exactly. And if they're going to give 230 protection, they need to apply that um, protection same way, no matter what the platform is. So, yeah, so that's kind of my thing. Totally agree with you. I have nothing to argue about here. Unfortunately, I don't have anything to argue about. So, because you know me, I just like to argue.
Right. That's the problem I see with it is, they say, well, is when and now if they kick you off for saying something that's against the law,
Well, that's one thing.
that's something different. If if you are saying, let's go beat this person up, let's go rob this person, let's go do something like this, or you advocate for people to burn down a city, if you advocate for violence, if you advocate for riots, if you advocate not for, but you know, then they should be able to kick you off. They should be able to delete your post, whatever. Now, if they say let's go peacefully protest, they should not be able to kick you off for that because peacefully protesting is a constitutional right and
Yeah.
it's not a violation of the law. Um, it's when they say, let's go and burn the city down, let's go tear up City Hall, let's go, beat up on some cops, then that's where the problem is. Or now, I don't know, maybe a stickier situation here would be uh, should a group say like Antifa, which has a solid reputation for violence at their so-called protest or at their protest.
Yeah.
Where would we come down on that? Where would you come down on that?
Well, they weren't um, rest the people that are doing the violence, but yeah, because they weren't advocating for violence. It just happened. So,
But it happens every time they have a protest.
well, then that doesn't matter. Still, You can't preemptively arrest people or
Okay.
whatever, shut them down.
See, I could, but I can see an argument going both ways.
Yeah, so can I. I can
Uh,
see the argument, but if you're going to apply your principles, you got to apply them evenly every time.
right. Well,
And I almost got myself in trouble on stream yesterday because I was going to call somebody out for some stupid they said, but I didn't. Well, for one,
oh,
I couldn't get a word in edgewise.
oh, you were on somebody's stream yesterday?
Yeah, I was on a couple streams yesterday.
Oh, I didn't know that. Yeah.
Yeah, see, I get invited to some weird shit. So,
Oh, well, that, um, cool.
yeah, see, again,
You're
it's just like,
popular.
no, I wouldn't go that far.
You,
Far from it.
you popular man.
No, far from it. Because when I start a stream, I'm lucky if I get two or three people to show up. So I would
Yeah,
like
but
to,
you're popular as a guest.
I think some people invite me on as a guest, as a, um, sometimes they assume I'm going to be the voice of reason. I think, and I think other times people invite me on just because we have a good relationship and that sort of thing.
All
So,
right.
which is cool. I mean, I'm cool with it either way.
Have you noticed? And I'm glad you are a voice of reason because you do. I mean, like me, there would be certain groups that I could see saying, and I'm going to use Antifa as one of them. They have such a history of violence, physical violence at anything that they're involved in, that I would have no problem with them being banned from a social media platform.
Yeah.
All right, simply because of their history and being so closely tied. All right. Oh, and I'm not talking about just one or two events. I'm talking over a span of what, 3 or 4 years now. They've got been they're so tied to violence, not just here in the United States, but overseas, that it's hard to argue that they're not a violent organization.
Hard to argue they're not a communist
Well,
fascist organization as well.
and but I'm not going to shut them down because I don't like their message.
Right. But you can't shut them down because unless they are advocating for violence on social media, you can't shut them down either. So,
But the problem is they are so closely tied to violence in every protest they've ever been involved with. Not just occasional violence breaks out because of a couple of hotheads,
right.
but because they actually push on violence. They
They
are violent when they do protest.
right, and they create the violence and they meld into the background. Yeah, totally agreed. Gotcha. But you can't. So the thing of it is this is where the rest of the DOJ is failing us because at those protests, they should be rounding them guys up and that are doing this stuff, that antagonizing and all that, and arrest them.
And I
So,
fully agree with you on that.
but
Okay.
because they're not doing that, they are perpetuating their own problem.
But
So
I'm
see,
talking
there's a
about
two
I'm
point. There's a two-pronged thing, right? So that's what so that's kind of where I land on it. So
uh,
there you go.
but I'm not, and I agree with you, if the police and that's one thing here Antifa does is they protest in areas where they know they can get away with it. They
Well,
know they're going to get away with it in Seattle. They know they're going to get away with it in Portland. They know they're going to get away with it at Berkeley.
they're going to get away with it no matter where they go because so what happens with Antifa, right?
I
Yeah,
dare
you
them to
know,
show up to Houston or Dallas.
they have. They
Okay, but
protested in
have they got
Houston and other
now
places.
they've gotten away with it in Austin, but have they gotten away with it in downtown Houston?
Well, see, here's how Antifa gets away with it, right? They'll start a protest, then they start antagonizing the crowd and getting people all worked up and everything. And then when shit starts hitting the fan, they fade into the background and they disappear. So that way, and there's multiple people have made videos showing the tactic, which is a very common tactic. Dates all the way back to um, a long time ago. Both long before our generation was even around, right?
Right,
And so that's how they get away with it. So they can spark, any group of people gets together for whatever reason. It doesn't matter, right? And they'll find a few hotheads and talk them into doing this and fade it into the background. January 6th, the same way. Nobody was planning, busting into the Capitol or doing anything like that, but a few um, plants. See, and because of all this stuff, they got some of the hotheads all worked up. So I mean, with any of these things, and you know, I mean, it does any kind of protest, even the you know protests that are held with you know with good intentions and everything. All you got to do is find two or three hotheads in the crowd to get people worked up, and then violence breaks out.
right. And you're right. I like I said, I'm sitting here and I'm reading this article, looking through this. Oh, Smokey. I wonder what that was all about.
What?
My cat, he just went crazy here for a second.
Uh,
So I'm trying to figure what this is all about. But I'm sitting here reading through this article and then another article also. Um, what is this with people suing companies for how their product is used?
ah,
Okay.
you see, oh, see, now you've touched on something near and dear to my heart. Because you know what this is all about, right?
Okay. What you got?
All right, this is all about the Second Amendment.
Well, okay, you're right. Okay,
That's exactly
but I
what this
mean,
is
this
about,
year's First Amendment, them trying to sue Google and Twitter.
right?
But I mean, I'm just but you're right. Majority of these lawsuits are uh, people trying to sue companies, but there's lawsuits filed against Hyundai, and Kia here recently because basis of the lawsuit is their cars are too easy to be stolen.
Yeah, California is like the because well, it's not that the cars are too easy to be; it's the catalytic converters off the cars are too easy to be stolen.
So it's like well, any car, in short of having a plate put over top of it, that catalytic converter is easy to be stolen.
Well, I guess on the Hondas, you don't really need any tools or anything. You can just, I'm not sure exactly what it is, but so here's the thing, right? So if this lawsuit goes through and they can force Hyundai to redesign the car, right? And if other people start suing companies for the way their products used by other people or whatever, then all of a sudden this whole thing of, well, your gun was used in a robbery, so therefore you're now liable for that robbery, right? Then gun manufacturers will go out of business because they're going, hey, we can't be liable for our product and how people use it, which is, very, very fascist thing. So if enough of these lawsuits like this go through, then they can go after the gun manufacturers, and everybody's going to go along with it.
So does that mean then, and again, the obvious extension of that? Well, I guess I'm going to sue Ford because their car was involved in a drunk driver's incident. I'm
Mm-hmm.
going to sue Cadillac because this blue hair uh, was blocking the track road, drove erratically. This old grandma who should not have a driver's license.
Drove 40 miles an hour down the freeway, made me late for work. I'm a sewer.
Right.
Exactly. So what ends up happening in this case, right?
Or she was, because of her, somebody else had a case of road rage and ended up hitting me.
Right. Then,
You
well,
know,
I'm going to sue Twitter because you said something mean about me.
right.
And as this goes, so what that does is effectively knocks out free speech. It knocks out any gun manufacturers and knocks out any companies that the um, the elites don't agree with their message, right? So if some American company is making American flags in America and they're like the best flags on the market and all that, well, we don't like them. We can knock them out next, because someone flew their American flag, even though they were flying it by the flag code, but they flew it in my neighborhood, blocking out my view of the lake or something like that. So they got to take that flag down. No, by the way, I'm suing the manufacturer because that flag was so well made I couldn't see through it. So you see what I know this sounds absolutely ridiculous and like I'm just making shit up out of my head, right?
But the problem is that happens.
But exactly, it's not I know it sounds like totally far fetched and stupid, but this is the kind of shit that's going on. So, no, excuse the language. I am a sailor, so I do
Yeah.
kind of tend to be a little spicy. Of course,
But
you already
I
know
mean,
that.
it all happens.
Yeah, exactly.
The,
And see,
the
so you see
it,
where all these things are going, and when you start putting those puzzle pieces together,
you start putting everybody, you start putting the companies to the point where the government, they're afraid to do anything.
well, not only that, but what happens? So what happens in an environment like that is the government gets to choose which companies prosper and which don't.
Right.
They get to pick the winners and losers, which should never happen. Not in a free society.
Okay. Okay. Which casuals are you talking about? Can't stopping there, Fury.
Oh, I'm sorry. You know what? I should be paying attention to chat.
Fury's got up here. It's time to stop the casuals. Protesters will sue over the fireproof flag, then remove the fireproofing, and they get prosecuted under fire safety. Right.
Yeah, Fury, you're exactly correct.
And Spill, there's no such. If you want to see a man who will put
Oh,
locks to shame, watch the lock picking lawyer. I've yet to see a lock him that. I mean, he. Let me rephrase this. 99% of all locks on his show are picked in under a minute. He's got very short YouTube things, and usually he picks most locks in under a minute from the time he starts. If he's got a 4 minute show, 1 minute, a minute and a half of it is him explaining the type of lock it is. Another minute of it is him explaining how his tool works. And then the last 30 seconds of it is him actually picking the lock. Yeah. You know, uh, even these new locks that, for cars and such. My wife couldn't understand why the new key for her car costs $400.
yeah.
You know, And she's like, why so stupid much? And I'm trying to explain to her that they got the little computer chip inside of them that the car actually talks to, and that chip, you know, without that chip, your car won't start, or it might start, but it's going to stop after a minute. That's why every year you have to, just be smart. Every year, replace the battery
Yep.
in your key fob, in your keys, because that way you don't get locked out of your car, you don't get stranded somewhere because the battery died on you. So yeah, there is no such. Even the key locks without a keyhole. He shows how you can open them sometimes using nothing more than a rubber mallet or a magnet.
Yeah. So yeah, so I was looking at it to stop the casuals. Yeah. So what he was saying is that the stupid ass keys they have. So basically, what Fury Kitten was alluding to was the old adage that we have here in America that the only thing a lock does is keep an honest man honest.
Yep,
That's all it does.
that is correct. Well, um, here we go. Did you know the very first Chick-fil-A, freestanding Chick-fil-A, is getting ready to go out of business?
What?
First ever Chick-fil-A restaurant location is closing this week for good.
Was that like Los Angeles or something?
No, it's in Atlanta.
Oh, Atlanta.
The first Chick-fil-A restaurant ever to open appears to be shutting its doors for good. Channel 2 News Action photographer spotted signs posted at the Greenbrier Mall.
Oh, okay.
Message said it'll serve its last original Chick-fil-A sandwiches from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. on Saturday. The sign also pointed customers to visit nearby locations at Camp Creek Parkway and Cascade Road. The Greenbrier Chick-fil-A has served Southwest Atlanta since 1967.
Yeah. Yeah. Hard to believe it was in the 60s when, because before the 60s, chicken was not considered a something that people ate a lot of here in the United States. So I watched this show. It's called The Food That Built America on the History
Oh
Channel.
yeah, yeah, I've seen that show. That's a good
And
show.
yeah, just not too long ago, they had the chicken sandwich wars, right?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and they, of course, they mentioned Chick-fil-A and McDonald's. Um, no, McDonald's wasn't in it. It was who? God, I'm trying to remember who the big competitors were. And then, of course, they, talked about Popeyes and all that stuff.
Right.
So it was quite interesting. They do leave things out of there in that. So it's not perfect or anything, but it is kind of interesting.
Now, this is something. The first freestanding Chick-fil-A outside of a mall wouldn't open until 1986.
Yep.
Other than that, the Chick-fil-A's had always been in a shopping mall.
Yeah, the first time I ever had a Chick-fil-A was in a shopping mall in San Diego, California.
So I what was not aware of that. I
And
don't even know when I had my first Chick-fil-A.
well, and to give you some idea, all right.
Right.
So the first time, so I'm in this mall, right, and there's this person with these trays of like pieces of chicken, right,
Right.
and toothpicks, and they were just handing them out. You got to try this, Chick-fil-A thing. I tried it and I go, I didn't like it. I'm like, no, thanks, but no. And kept walking. And it wasn't until years later that I had my first Chick-fil-A sandwich and go, hey, this is kind of good. So, yeah, I find that funny. All this time, I was like, I could have been eating Chick-fil-A and never did. 'Cause I didn't like it when I first tried it.
Not the one thing I can remember having, I can say, is the first time I ever had was in a shopping mall, was an Orange Julius.
Yeah, see, that's one of those things I missed from when I was a kid. You
And
go
I was
Saturday.
18. I mean, I was 18 or 19 years old and in the Air Force at the shopping at the mall in Phoenix, Arizona. Is the first time I ever had one.
Wow.
And that, I mean, I was like, wow, that's amazingly good. And it'd be even better with some rum poured in
Well, the first time I ever had an Orange Julius, I was probably about 12 years old, maybe younger. And it was at Balboa Park in San Diego because at that time they had these little Orange Julius stands in California,
right?
Southern California. And, so I got this Orange Julius and I was like, oh man, I dig this thing. This is good. And so I've always been a huge fan. Then after a while, they started coming out with strawberry and other flavors, but they were never as good as the original Orange Julius. But it's funny too because as I got older, they got to the point they didn't taste like they used to. They weren't as good as they used to be.
Right.
They changed something up. I don't know what they did, but well, maybe they went to like started using orange juice concentrate in that. Um, and not using fresh squeezed anymore. I don't know, but as I got older, I was like, yeah, I really don't like this. It's not the same as it used to be. But on a hot summer's day, man, Orange Julius went down so good.
Yeah, they in
God, you're
Phoenix,
making me,
man, they
you're
were
making me, you
delicious.
gotta quit doing this shit to me, man. And see, now I'm getting all nostalgic and all that. We got,
And Spill
I don't know.
Buggy's got a jumping spider on his ankle.
Ooh, how'd you get a jumping spider on your ankle? Be
Oh,
careful it
putting
doesn't jump up into your someplace else.
and I've an aunt who put vodka in her Orange Julius.
Yeah, I had an uncle that did that. And he'd say, here, you want to try this? It's really good.
I'm not a fan of vodka, so
Well, vodka doesn't really have much of a taste. It just tastes like alcohol.
I think it's the burning. For some reason, that raw burn of it is what I don't like.
That's more than likely that's the case. Not so much the taste, but just that raw alcohol burn.
Right.
That's
Even though
probably it.
even though you get a good burn with most
With both, with both.
both with most whiskeys.
All right, there, John Sturman.
Yeah, got my tongue flopping all over my eye teeth. Can't see what I'm saying.
Yeah,
Golden rum
so
and brandy would make a nice mix. I've never, I don't, I think I've ever had a golden rum, so no
yeah.
clue.
See, here's the thing. It's a scientifically proven fact that rum makes everything taste better.
Back a few years ago, when my legs were at their worst, I used to buy black spiced rum and put in my coffee.
Oh, you talking about the blackstrap?
It's a spiced rum,
Yeah, well, okay, so there's black rums and then there's spiced rums, right?
right?
So, well, first we got to talk about. Well, do you have a couple minutes? Let's talk about rum.
Sure. I've got all day. Well, I've got about 3 hours.
All right, so let's talk about rum. You know how rum got invented, right?
Absolutely no.
Why they started making it. Okay, so back in the olden days, right? Back when they had, wooden sailing vessels and all that,
Right.
what they did is they would make sugar cane into sugar, right?
Right.
And when they do that, molasses was a side product of doing that.
Okay.
So that's the reason why molasses is really popular amongst less moneyed folks because it was byproduct of the sugar trade. And when they figured they could monetize that, they did. Well, some people figured out that you could ferment molasses and make alcohol out of it, hence rum. Rum is made from molasses.
Oh, okay.
When they first started making rum, it was this dark, potent stuff, and it was hard to drink, right?
Mm-hmm.
But British sailors and pirates would put that on their ships so they could have their rum rations, and it didn't spoil very easily, right?
All right.
So, um, and they would mix it with some other stuff, hence grog, whatever's, you know, and so that's how rum got started. Well, over the years, they've been making rum better and better, and of course, doing more to it, upscaling it quite a bit. But the original rum was this like dark, sweet stuff that, some people liked, a lot of people didn't. But, when you're out to sea for months at a time and you get to have that cup of rum, and, you know, you're going to like it. So that's where that comes from, just so you know. It's an oversimplification, but that's where I'm gonna go with that. So, and so whenever you can find the blackstrap rum, which is a dark rum, I suggest that you buy it and just give it a little sip, see what you think. And of course, amongst purists and rum drinkers, they will tell you that that's straight rot gut. And it's not, but just give it a try and tell me what you think of it. Well, you went silent. What's going on? Oh, well, Shroom's on mute, so I'm sitting here talking to
Oh, okay.
myself.
I'm sorry about that, but my dog was starting to whining, so I had to let him out.
Well, that's okay. I was just
And
going to continue.
and since you
I was,
and since you were
I was
educating
continuing
me on
talking.
rum, I didn't want the dog to interrupt us.
No, it's fine. Whatever.
You know,
I was just going to continue talking and
but
entertaining our audience.
now, so what is the difference here between golden rum and black rum?
Well, it's the amount of like when you first okay, so when you first make the run on the still, right? The first stuff that comes out is going to be like dark and kind of nasty, and then as they you know further process it, it becomes lighter and lighter until you know, and then depending on how long it's aged and all that kind of thing. So
So what
the
you're saying is,
dark rum is the kind of the first, and it's not the preferred. And you get down into um, the better rum is the as the run continues.
okay. Mate, what's that? When you're working off of a still making whiskey, the first drops are the ones you throw away because
Yeah,
those are the ones that'll kill you or blind you.
yeah. All right, so furry kitten. I'm gonna talk about Fury's thing here. So he says most vodkas are very smooth. Forget the Stolies and that. It's just industrial solvent. Totally agree with you. Um, then once they get over 120 proof, they will start to really produce excess um, salivation and roughness. Yes, he is correct. Because if you go to like Poland or someplace like that, try the vodka. It's a much different experience than it is here in the United States. Much different experience.
Okay.
And there are a couple rums that are made in Idaho and one that's made in Vermont, American made rum, or vodka, I'm sorry, that is really good. It's so smooth that it would shock you.
Now, Spittle Buggies is asking about gin. And the only thing I can think of is, wasn't gin invented as a medicine?
Well,
The gin and tonic was a,
it was used
was
for medicinal
malaria,
purposes.
to treat malaria, I believe.
Well, if you go back and look at the history books, right, and look at the writings of our founding fathers and of the settlers that came to America 200 years before there was an America, um, almost every landowner had their own recipes for beer, whiskey. Because remember, a lot of our founders, original peoples that came over from Europe were German, Scotch Irish, and British, right?
Yep.
And almost all of them, one of the first things they did is set up distilleries in that because we didn't have water purification and all that kind of thing, right? So if you brewed it into beer and into alcohol, then you could drink it without being afraid of, contaminated water. And if you look at some of the original recipes that a lot of these people were using to make beer, they were making it out of, birch bark and juniper berries and all that kind of thing. So as these people started distilling, I'm sure that, because, to me, gin tastes like juniper berries because that's one of the main ingredients in it, right?
Right.
I personally, I can't eat the smell of it makes me want to hurl. I'm not a gin person, but so that being said, then for them to start making gin in the United States is just kind of a natural progression. And but yeah, and then of course during Prohibition, bathtub gin was quite popular
Yep.
because it was
E-
easy to make.
Easy to make. Okay, the
AB,
tonic is the quinine was used. Okay, so it was the tonic that
yeah,
was used.
yes,
Ah,
and so okay, so now little piece of thing. Not that, I'm trying really hard not to be a know-it-all because I'm not. I just find some of this stuff really interesting, especially
Hey,
in
it,
events.
if you know it, you know it. If you don't, you don't. And this is something
Well,
I don't know, and you do.
I don't know how much about it, but anyway, so here goes. So when we talk about tonic, right? Tonic water, and it
Right?
having quinine in it, what's another word for quinine?
Q.
No. So what was the drug they didn't want us using that fights malaria?
Oh, not
Not ivermectin,
oh, okay. The stuff that was in the fish
the
food.
malaria, the malaria stuff, right?
Right.
Yeah, because that's what quinine basically is.
Yeah, the stuff that woman used to poison her husband with.
No, that's the fish food stuff. But yeah, pretty much. It's what they were talking about on the Capitol steps.
Right. I don't
Yeah,
remember the name of it, but that's
gin is
beside the
vodka
point.
with botanicals. Totally agree with you.
So Tuesday is what day? Meloquine?
Yeah,
What the hell
Valentine's
is
Day.
meloquine?
I have no idea.
Neither do I.
Yeah. That's something new for me.
Okay, let me see if I can. Oh, it's a pharmaceutical drug.
Yeah. I'm drawing a complete
Oh,
blank on what
that's F, not that's L
Alpha
E
Quine.
F L, not MELL. Oh, okay. So that makes sense. Um, all right, now you accused me of being a boomer
Yeah.
on more than one occasion.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I will continue to do so because
And
I
you
think
will
it's funny.
continue to do so. So
Yes, because I think it's funny.
I found this article.
Oh,
Okay, boomer skills millennials won't use.
probably quite a few of them.
Okay, staying married is number one on the list.
It's not really a skill, but yeah,
It's being
that's
replaced by common law.
yes.
So instead of actually getting married, you just move in together.
Yep, live together until you're recognized as common law marriage. Yes.
But common law marriage was before marriage.
This is correct. It's actually dates way back.
Yeah.
Way back.
I mean, you were common law married before the church ever got involved with marrying you.
Or before the state got involved. Yes.
Right. A lot of times, you know, all you did was went down to the village square, if there was one, and you posted up a sign saying the two of you were staying together. The
Yeah,
two of
and you
you were now
guys,
a couple,
yeah, basically you just went down and said, "Hey, we're married now," and
you know.
that's how it worked.
So figuring out cable TV
This is true.
replaced by streaming channels. Yeah,
Yep.
I can see that. I would not have cable TV if it weren't for the wife. Because 90% of the entertainment I want to watch is available on the internet. So,
Yeah.
so why
Yeah.
pay for cable if I don't have to?
Yeah. See, I'm the same way. I am. If yeah, see, I would never have cable if I didn't have to.
You know, and the only reason to have a television anymore is for sporting events and you're inviting people over.
I don't do sports, so the only reason for having a TV, in my opinion, is for when you want to watch a movie because it's much better on a bigger screen than it is on a
Right.
laptop screen.
That's
And not
true.
only that, but when I sit down to watch a movie, I prefer to have my wife sitting next to me.
Right. But I mean, if I was for some reason no longer had a wife, I mean, now like my father-in-law and I sat down yesterday and uh, we watched the Maltese Falcon.
Ooh, good movie.
All right. And so that was fun to sit there and watch. Uh, I especially since I just read the book last month. Parts of the movie, parts of it was still stuck out in my mind, like the one scene definitely cut in the movie that's in the book, where Sam Spade, i.e., Humphrey Bogart, literally strip searches a female. I
Yeah.
mean, she's standing in front of him buck naked in the book.
Yeah, you couldn't put that in the, well, you could have put that in movies at the time, but um, that movie came out after the um,
Right.
Hayes metal, so yeah, would never have happened.
I mean, they didn't even intimidate that it happened. They
No.
just cut that as if it was never there. So, but yeah, I mean, I would cut cable in a heartbeat. That's $100 a month. I don't need to spend for my entertainment.
Well, see, part of that. Okay, so part of the issue with that, I'm just gonna throw it out here, is so many of the cable companies do not want to give you um, just internet. They make you take the cable with your internet, which I think is just uh,
Huh.
kind of pissy.
I'm not okay.
Just
Let's see.
saying, I'm not
Right.
trying to be.
That I think that's kind of pitchy myself.
Yeah.
Finding a good business suit caused by work, people shown to work in casual wear. I don't know about this one. I mean, even though I haven't worn it in 2 years, I've got a suit in my closet.
So do I.
Uh,
I actually have a couple more than one.
at this point, I've only got one, but that's simply because I've the only time I've needed to wear is for funerals here lately.
Yeah.
But this is interesting. I can see part of the reason also is for business suits going out of the way, men demanding that the same rights to dress more casually as women do at work. Why should a man be required to wear a suit jacket, collared shirt, and tie
If a woman doesn't.
if the woman sitting right next to him or across from him doesn't have to wear that strangulation outfit?
Yeah.
So for
And I get that.
uh, that's so anyway.
And
Now
it
this and I'm confused about balancing a checkbook. Why don't you have to? I mean, I still balance a checkbook
your boomer is showing through.
because I want to know exactly how much money I have available in my bank account.
Yeah, your boomer is showing through big time on this one. All right. So, do you know anybody that's below the age of 25?
Yeah.
And I'm not talking about 12, 15. I'm talking between the ages
No,
of
no, no. I'm
21 and
I'm talking
25.
about a 21-year-old and a 24, 20. She's 24 or 25 years old.
Ask her when the last time she wrote a check was.
Well, how do they balance what they have in their bank account that they're
All right.
spending on their debit card?
Okay. All right. So, this is how it's done. You have that mobile banking app, right?
Right,
And
I've got it.
it shows you your balance as you go. And then if you really want to, you can download that to QuickBooks and it'll give you a balance in 15 seconds. So so when you as soon as you
But
swipe that
QuickBooks
debit
is
card,
expensive.
yeah, I know. But so basically when you log on to your mobile banking app, that's basically what it's showing you. It's showing you a QuickBooks, right? As soon as you swipe that card or give that card number to somebody to pay a bill or whatever, that is automatically deducted from your bank account. So you know constantly what your bank balance is. So really balancing the checkbook has kind of gone the way of the dodo bird.
Okay. Ironing. Yeah, I can see this because I haven't really ironed anything since 1998.
Yeah. So
The last thing I ironed was my BDUs in 1998 before I retired.
so looking at Duck Dog with his tailored shirts.
Right.
So back in the day, back when I was in the Navy, we went to Hong Kong, right? And there was this Tony's Tailor shop there where you could get two silk suits, four dress shirts for like $300, and they would custom tailor them to you in the whole 9 yards. And that was my first time I ever bought a suit. It's Becca.
Hey,
Now,
morning,
Becca,
Becca.
just a warning, because even though you're one of my favorite people in the whole world, be nice in chat so I don't have to yell at you. I can even
Becca's
say
always nice in chat.
I could even say that with a straight face. I'm sorry. It's a joke. She knows what I'm referring to.
Yeah, I've taken. I mean, I know. I still know exactly what my checks look like.
Yeah,
In
so
fact, I've got one here. I've got my checkbook right handy to where I'm at right now.
well, you see, because I am a small business owner, so I do write checks 4 times a year to be exact, 5 times a year.
Ah, okay. All right. So let's see what's next here on this boomer list. That confusing. Now this one here doesn't surprise me. Reading a map.
Yeah, because they have
Uh,
GPS on their
uh,
phones.
Waze destroys ever needing a map.
Yeah,
All right, and MapQuest. You want to look up an area and see all the little roads and everything else around the area, just go to MapQuest.
MapQuest. Wow, you really
What?
are a boomer.
What do you mean?
MapQuest is like old school. That's what old people use.
No, I use Waze when to get me from point A to B. But if I'm looking up a region of a state or something like that, then I use MapQuest, put in the name of the city, and then that way I can see the actual map around that city.
Yeah, see, most people use like Google Maps or other things like that.
I have found Google Maps is not that accurate.
No, it's not. I find that I really don't use too many of those. I just use, GPS to get me to where I need to go.
So, but no, I use Waze for most of my navigational reasons purposes.
Yeah. No, if I want to see what someplace looks like, I'll go there and check it out, or use Google Earth.
So, the one thing I like about Waze is people put in where cops are sitting,
Yeah, and where
and
there's
you
like
you
other
can do
things.
that real time.
Yes, you can, which is very cool, by the way.
Yes, very very cool. Driving a stick shift, yes, I know. No, that's not just boomers. I mean, I don't think anybody under the age of very few people under the age of 40 know how to drive a stick shift.
Yeah, unless they live on a farm or something.
Right.
What about you,
So,
Becca? Can you drive a stick shift?
oh, Becca uses Google Earth. All right.
Yeah, because you can actually see what the scenery, it's like a real picture.
Right.
But
Windy.com, never heard of it.
yeah, my first truck was a split clutch.
Oh, split clutches. Oh, I hated those.
Windy Calm. I'll have to check that out.
Yeah, I'm checking it out now.
Well, you do that, and
It Windy Com. Okay, let's see here. Here we go. And I will pull this up on share this on the screen.
in here now.
Okay.
Boom.
That's very cool showing all the wind patterns. Look at this coming from up here in Canada down to Charlotte. Then it sort of breaks up, gets stronger again up here around the Great Lakes. All right, so what we got here
Is a failure to communicate.
communicate. All right, if you look right here, we got this thing coming north from outside of the Caribbean along the Mexican border here, comes up through Texas, then up this way, and then up to Lake Superior and Lake Michigan. And then you got this coming down from Alaska across Canada, and it meets that and comes right back north again. You got this coming down from Canada across Carolinas, and it meets right back up there, gets sucked right back. So it's almost like, I mean, got a vortex going here damn near.
Do you see any Chinese spy balloons in there?
Let's see, what does it show over here? Russia, China area. Oh,
All right,
okay.
I blame you for this waste data. I blame you.
Okay, I'm going to have to admit, this has got me intrigued. Thank you. I've got to admit, this has got me intrigued. Hit
Try
the
the
play
play
arrow
arrow.
on the bottom. Okay, I'll do that, and then we'll have to stop it. Then we'll go on to something else.
Well, I want to finish reading this list of shit that.
Yeah, that's. I mean, we'll go to this list. Get this back over here back over the states.
There's a play button. Damn it, Spittle Bucky. Oh, look,
All
it
right.
moves. See, it's moving.
Yep. That is really intriguing. I like that.
See, this is quality entertainment that you can get nowhere else.
Thank God. It's like, who else would even think about showing something like that?
How do you keep a boomer occupied?
Ah.
Oh, I did it.
You got me.
Only because I think it's funny.
Yep. Okay. Zoom into Miami. We're done with that data. We're going to head over here to from driving a stick shift to playing golf.
Yeah. Not a lot of the kids are into playing golf nowadays.
Now, see this. Today, though, millennials are more likely to participate in a sport that promotes open and equal opportunity.
Frisbee golf and stuff like that.
But wait a minute, No, how is regular golf not equal opportunity?
Because women have their tees are not as far away from, and
Their teams
then
are actually closer.
yeah, their tees are closer. And well, golf has a reputation of being a boys' club, and I think golf has got an unfair reputation over the years.
Because you had to join a golf club to play it. Yeah,
Yeah, pretty much.
yeah.
And it's been known as an elitist thing for and all that.
Only
Um,
because you had to join a fancy club.
right
Yeah.
nowadays, it's much more egalitarian than that.
Uh,
That's
I
right. I know words.
I got when I got kicked off of a driving range, I quit playing golf.
I've never been kicked off a driving range.
I got kicked off the range because I was putting too many balls in the woods. So
That sounds like something I would do, but
uncorking bottles.
yes. And you know why that is, right?
Why?
Because corks are going away. Both real cork and synthetic cork are going away because studies have shown that screw top actually preserves wine much better. So what you can do is you can before if you uncorked a bottle of wine, right? And then you put a wine stopper or something like that in it, you only had 2 to 3 days to finish that bottle of wine before it would turn.
Right, because of
And
the air that was trapped in it.
yeah, because the air that gets into it, right?
That's why they came up with that balloon contraption that
Mm-hmm.
you put in, you pump it up,
Sucks the air out.
and it displaces all the air.
Right. So that's the reason why like box wine is become and screw tops are becoming the standard in the wine industry is because you can unscrew that cap from a bottle. It used to only be the really cheap stuff, rot gut stuff, bums and that, right?
Right, and
But
I mean, because
but
if you
now,
put the
but you
cap
can
back on, you still have the same amount of air in the bottle.
well, but the thing of it is when you put that cap back on, it actually seals out more air from getting in, so you can actually get more days out of your bottle of wine. It's actually a much better way of, they're it is. I know for old school people that doesn't sound right, but it is. And then like in a box wine because it's in that plastic bag and the the nozzles at the bottom, right? That bag collapses and forces the air out as the wine
Right,
comes out. So it actually a box of wine will actually last longer in than uncorking a bottle. And so a lot of vineyards in that are doing away with the whole using cork or even synthetic corks. So yeah, that is fast going away. And
yeah.
I predict another 5 years you won't see corks anymore.
Now, oh, see, this just may sound tacky,
But go ahead,
but
throw it out.
I've never had a leftover wine after I've uncorked it.
Uh, yeah,
That bottle's always been emptied when I was.
yeah, Data, you're right. Not in France. That's true. That's very true. I am just talking about the U.S. And I would never, ever, ever attempt to try to say I know more about some other country than the one I live in.
Now, I will say this: the first time I ever had boxed wine was in France.
But here's the other thing too. Amongst the millennials who are what in their 40s now,
Okay.
30s and 40s, and the Gen Zs, how many Gen Zers do you think actually drink wine? Because they're getting into their 20s, starting to hit that drinking. I really don't think wine in the United States is as popular as it is elsewhere.
Well, that's kind of true because yeah,
Because
because
when
well, I mean, wine's always been sort of an introductory drink to alcohol.
well, wine's always been amongst certain people that are into wine tend to be of a certain um, ilk, right? Certain
Right,
social status and that sort of thing. And um, I know that whenever I go to visit a winery or whatever, because um, I find that most people there are 40s and above. I don't really see a lot of young people at wineries.
right.
Now, go to a brewery though. I stick out like a sore thumb because they just look at that old dude. What's he doing here?
Microbrewery, yeah.
Yeah, it's mostly youngsters. So I am thinking that
30K wine. Wow.
wow, Beyonce Stadium concert next Wednesday. 30K plus wine went.
Now,
Wow.
now I do like some wines, but my favorite wines are is a white wine from the very last from the first pressing after the frost.
Yeah, that's called ice wine.
Right. Well, in
But you
German they're
don't.
called ice wines.
No, it's called ice wine.
Right.
And to get
And
ice wine, you have to have a freeze
right.
before all the grapes are picked to have a true ice wine. And that's very
Yep.
sweet Becca, and is tend to use for dessert and that. Now, in my humble opinion, just my humble opinion, that's okay for like dessert wines and that, but um, um, it with a good steak, you need a rich, deep, dark red. So every wine has its place,
Right. And
and
my problem with red wines is they're usually uh, they've got an aftertaste that I just don't like.
that's the tannins in that. So yeah, not everybody can be a wine snob. I get that.
Yeah. I just don't like that aftertaste with red wines. So, all right, writing in cursive.
Yes,
They're
you
just
want.
nobody. The teachers just don't teach it.
Nope. Well, you got to get your gender studies and stuff in there. Come on,
Yeah.
you can't. You know,
Now I did
can't
teach.
be
I
actually
did teach
teaching
my
them
son
stuff.
how to write in cursive,
I never did mine. I should have. I feel bad for not doing it.
but yeah. But then again, too, you used to have the tablets with all the letters there and the little dots. You had to play connect the dot to learn how to write the letters in cursive.
Yeah, that was back in the day, wasn't it?
Yep.
That paper with like the three lines on it with the dots in the middle. Yeah,
Yep.
I remember those days.
So, uh, yeah, trying to read somebody's handwriting today, though, absolutely sucks. People under 30 don't know how to write.
They don't know how to print
They don't,
or
they
write.
don't, they don't know how to print. They don't know how to write.
Agreed.
And their use of language, absolutely deplorable. Oh, they throw internet slang into their writing,
Yes, they
you
do.
know, like you would for a uh, you know, LOL, LMAO, all those little shortened words, I guess.
Yep.
Traditional grammar. Here we go. Yes, the grammar absolutely sucks. If I exactly, man, that I hated that red pen when I was a kid in school. Okay, oh, Giant Blaze popped in. Hey, how's it going?
The Blaze Man.
Yeah, that's one thing. I found that if I want to leave a note for my boss, all I got to do is write it out in cursive. They
Yep.
don't even know how to read cursive writing.
Not so much.
So it is almost a secret code now. Sewing. I did not realize this.
Yep.
That they're not I sat down the other day at the light bulb fixing my socks.
You darn socks. You
Yes.
darn socks.
Yes, I was sewing some holes in my socks the other night. Best, you just throw a light bulb into it and then you just sew it up around the light bulb. That way you get the curve and everything. So, because I was sewing where my heels had worn through the sock. But it's good to be resourceful back in the 50s and 60s, but it's not cost effective it costs 2 cents to repair a pair of socks, but you're going to go out and spend $4 on a pair. What do you mean it's less cost effective to sew the sock?
Well, the way things are made nowadays and all that, shit just falls apart. So and it's a convenience thing too. So yeah, nobody sews anymore. They just throw shit out, buy new. And besides, you have to buy new every so often anyway, just to stay up on the latest fashions and that sort of thing. So blah blah blah.
Oh,
So I'm the
you
same way. I don't sew shit. I just throw it away and get new.
you mean my 3-year-old shirts are no longer in fashion? My
Well, you know what?
4-year-old khakis that I wear to work every day are no longer in fashion.
You know what? I have
What?
a linen shirt made out of actual real live actual linen
Right.
that I've had for almost 20 years and I still wear it because it is the most and you can't find these shirts anymore and it is the most comfortable thing ever. Yeah. So there's a lot of that kind of stuff I still have.
I wonder what do linen shirts even cost anymore?
That I have no idea. I couldn't tell you because like I said, this one's over 15 years old. And it's one of my favorite shirts.
Let's see, 17.99.
Yeah, but is that good, thick, real linen?
It says they are. Well,
Because
I
when I
mean,
bought mine, it
I,
was $79. But
I don't think I prefer cotton shirts myself. To wick, but then have a
cotton doesn't
tendency
wick shit; it just gets wet and heavy.
I have a tendency to sweat.
Yeah, so that's the reason why my linen shirt is my favorite. Is I sweat easy. I am a sweater. Yeah. So getting back to the point you were making about Kenny the Sailor Man writing in block letters. Because yeah, all the official paperwork, documentation, all that has to be done in block letters. You know what? I've probably been retired longer than he's been in the Navy, and I still write in block letters. It's it's ingrained in me, and I can't get it out. So sorry, I had to
Yep.
reply to
Well,
Becca.
well, yeah. I mean, rich people wear socks one time.
I don't know about that, but
I
it's a
don't know
good
about that,
possibility.
but yeah. Now, when I had one tailored suit when I was in Germany. Got this guy. had a guy set up in the BX who made tailored suits, and damned, I look good in that suit. I lo- I drove him nuts though because I told him, I said, now make certain I get a boot cut on this on these pants. And he goes, boot cut? What's a boot cut? And I said, a boot cut so that I can wear my cowboy boots.
Pumpkin muffin
Oh, thank you.
and hazelnut coffee.
Oh, hazelnut coffee and a pumpkin muffin. Thank
Yuck.
you.
So even though we like your wife and she's very nice and all that, but that's yuck.
Well,
Hazelnut,
her,
yuck.
her and her dad went to Panera for lunch, and they brought me back a cup of coffee and a muffin.
Well, it was very nice of them. See, your wife is nice. I
Yes,
totally agree.
my wife is nicer to me than yours is to you.
Oh, how'd you know? Can't believe that you would say that out loud.
Okay.
Wow,
Using
I feel
paper
seen.
napkins. These kids don't use paper napkins?
Apparently not because they use. I think a lot of them use the cloth because it's more sustainable and environmentally friendly.
That's exactly what this article says.
Go figure. Boy, it's almost like I know these things. Like I know these kids.
In general, today's consumers prefer reusable product rather than single use. Actually, I prefer reusable because I think it's cheaper. It's, all I got to do is wash it and reuse it. Throw it in the laundry with the rest of my clothes and I can reuse it.
Okay.
I'm not having to I'm not having to buy it all the time.
Well,
Oh
I
my
don't.
goodness. That pumpkin muffin is amazing.
Shut up. I'm gonna have to have a word with your wife.
Oh, that is absolutely delicious. Bulk shopping. Consume less, create more.
Yes.
I bulk shop simply because I don't like going shopping. So if I don't, if I go once a month and I buy a month's worth of everything that I need, then I'm happy.
Okay.
I mean, what's to argue about that? I mean, I spend less gas going to the grocery store, to buy toilet paper and whatever I need. But like I'm going to go to the store today to buy some stuff for my father-in-law's dinner for Sunday night or Saturday night because he's leaving out of here Sunday morning.
Well, I'm making ribs Saturday.
So, well, I've asked him what he wants to be making for dinner Saturday night, and he hasn't told me yet.
Well, I'm making ribs Saturday, so
I'm doing baked pasta tonight. Ah, yes, the infamous landline. Really want to confuse them? Throw in a rotary dial. Kids will not know how to deal with it.
so how many? So okay, I can tell you, Gen Z definitely has no clue what a rotary phone is. And I got to imagine there's probably quite a few millennials as well that have no idea what that even is,
Yep. And if it wasn't for office work, they wouldn't know what a landline was.
including the fact that most offices don't even have landlines in them. Yeah. Most of them are voice over IP.
Yeah, but you still have a landline desk on your phone or a desk phone.
Yeah, but it's still voice over IP and it still has push buttons. It's not rotary.
Right.
So technically, um, so yeah, technically, is it really a landline? Just saying.
Mm, yeah, okay, I see your point.
I'm just throwing this stuff out here. I'm just not trying to
I,
be
that- I,
argumentative. Well, yeah, I
I,
am, but
no, I see your point, but what for something I foresee happening though are people getting their. I mean, I see people doing it now. Companies like yours doing it now, rather than carrying two cell phones, one for each number. They've got both numbers going to the same phone,
yes, they do.
and so I soon see office lines, doing the same thing. You call the office, you put in the person's extension, and it rings their cell phone.
Yep, that's how mine works.
So they won't even have a phone sitting on their desk.
Well, it seems how I haven't been at my desk in almost 3 years.
So, all right. Sunbathing without sunscreen. I'm sorry, no. No, you won't catch me out in the sun for any length of time without sunscreen on.
Yeah, that's
Uh,
not something I do.
I'm at that age where and especially with my having worked on the flight line for as many years as I did, I'm so concerned about skin cancer, it's not funny.
Wait till you've been floating around out in the middle of the ocean
Right.
for months at a time, and especially when you get down around the equator and that, you see what the sun's like. I agree with you.
Eating red meat.
Yep. You know how many kids today are vegetarian?
This article says a 600% increase in veganism.
Yep. And you know what cracks me up too is a lot of people that want to go vegan don't understand the amount of supplements and that you have to take to be a vegan.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, Johnny Blaze here. I don't know what's a rotary phone.
Yeah.
How many people still know how to use a slide rule?
I don't know.
It'd probably take me 10 or 15 minutes to remember it because I used to use one a lot.
It would probably take me that long to figure out what the hell it is. I've never used a slide rule, fully admit it. So when it comes to math, I am not someone you want. Whoa. Did you hear that?
What was that?
That, my friend, is thunder and lightning. And the lightning and the thunder came at the same time.
I'm surprised you kept power.
Yeah, so if I drop suddenly, now you know why.
Yes, you got one heck of a storm going on.
Yeah, well, that's because I live in the normal part of Florida and not the panhandle like the weirdos do.
Ah, let's
And that
see
again,
here.
that's a reference to something else that, you know,
Yes,
I did not share with you. So don't be offended or be offended. I don't really care, but
I don't care either way. Yeah,
I thought it was funny.
it's water off a duck's ass to me
Yeah.
anymore.
So some people in our audience might know what that's referring to. And if they do, they will find it as funny as I did. And if they
uh,
don't, then well, oh well.
Fury works for Vita Foods. Our 100% sunflower had the fish oils added to it to stop rickets and other deficiencies.
Yeah.
You know, my father-in-law, with his diet that he's on, uh, the wife he bought Impossible Burgers.
Oh my God, no.
Yes, and texturally they are something different.
Yeah, not only that, but they're a freaking science experiment. You ever read the ingredients on that shit?
No, I was afraid to.
Oh, you should just for pure entertainment value.
And then, she not only bought the Impossible Burgers, she bought Impossible Chicken Patties and Impossible Sausage because he's not allowed to eat beef or pork.
Ah.
Now, why she bought Impossible Chicken Patties, I don't know, but she did.
And why in on God's green earth would so all right. So if my doctor told me that I'm not allowed to eat beef or pork, I'd say, okay, great. I will eat chicken, I will eat lamb, but I'm not going to eat some fake shit that looks like sausage to make myself feel better about it. I'm just going to go without eating the beef or the pork.
Right.
And I'm not going to eat like turkey bacon and other bullshit like that. I'll just eat turkey.
Now, I did introduce him to venison because he'd not had that before.
So good.
And he really liked ground venison. He's still not too sure about anything else, but ground venison he was okay with. So I made up
Mm,
a beef stroganoff, but I used venison instead of beef, of course.
yeah.
And I used Satsu's uh, flour,
Yeah.
and I really liked it. I really thought it was worth the meal. Um, but
That would
yeah,
be good.
the giving up of eating red meat would confuse my body too much. As much as I like turkey and chicken, it still confused my body. Using fine china, I don't know anybody that has used fine china in my lifetime. I've never known anybody who had fine china. To me, that's always been a thing of somebody with money. So, well, I know we didn't lose him because I can hear him in the back. I hear background noise.
Who?
Oh, yeah, right. Venison is still red meat. It's very lean though. That's why I don't categorize it like I would beef because it is still okay. All right, British. Now Fury's got fine china. Okay, being British, I could expect you to have fine china, and you use it once a year on Christmas Eve, right, Becca?
I think some people do still have, because I know when I was in Hong Kong, I bought my wife a set of china. Um, so yeah, there are still some people that do that. You know, it's very traditional, but the amount of people doing it are fewer and fewer every day. We totally
Yeah.
agree.
Let's see. Sending postcards.
Yep.
Yeah, I can see that why that's dying out.
Yeah, because why
Even though
would you
when
when
even though when I was younger, the only reason why we sent postcards is welcome to Florida, welcome to from Arizona, from wherever I was at, traveling through.
Yeah, now you just snap a selfie and send it.
Yeah. And besides that, you knew that everybody and their brother could read what you wrote on the back of them.
Yeah, so I still buy postcards though when I go someplace that different than that.
Is that right?
Yeah, so what I'll do is I will buy the postcard, I will scan it into my computer, and then I use that picture to make digital photo albums and stuff like that
Oh, okay.
because I think it's fun. And then, like, so, quite a few, because, it's quite a few times I've been on vacation where there wasn't somebody else to take the picture, so couldn't take everybody's picture together, right? So what I
Right.
do is take one picture and then get in it, hand the camera to somebody else and take it. Then I would use Photoshop to put the picture together to make it look like we're all in the picture together.
Ah,
And I've done that several times
okay.
just because I'm like that. And I've taken a few pictures that and done stuff with them in Photoshop that some people did not find near as funny as I did.
Yeah, photoshopping, you can get in a lot of trouble doing that. I'm glad I've never gotten very good at it. You could very easily tell everything I did was photoshopped. There
Um,
there was no skill involved.
I'm not going to say that for me.
Uh,
I'm not going to say everything I've done is a masterpiece, but yeah, I used
Well,
to
you
be
had to
fairly good
start
at it.
somewhere.
I used to be fairly good at it. I haven't screwed around with that stuff in years, though.
Now, riding motorcycles is dying out, they say. Rather than
Yes,
investing a small fortune on a motorcycle, millennials are electric scooters from
yep,
Bird or Lime.
yep. This is very true.
All right. Uh,
Especially the ones that live in the
oh,
city.
so they're rent-a-bikes, rent-a-scooters.
Yes, and so if you go to your bigger cities, they have these little electric scooters. They kind of look like a Vespa, but they're electric on these charging stations.
Right.
You swipe your credit card and say, punch 1 hour, 4 hours, whatever. And so let's say you punch 1 hour, it charges your debit card right then and there for that 1 hour ride. Then if you don't bring it back and park it back in that space within that hour, then it charges you for the next hour and it keep charging that hourly rate till you bring it back.
That can get expensive.
Yeah, so you're better off doing like a half
Wh-
day thing.
So what's the price on a Bird or a Lime?
That I couldn't tell you because the last city that I was in where they had those was Singapore.
Okay.
And at that time, the conversion rate was like, I think it was like $1.95 Singapore to American dollar. And the half day thing cost us like $6.
All right, let's see here. Bird
But
microelectric.
that was like 40 years ago.
Okay, yep. Uh, let's see what they got. Okay, I'm trying to see. Buy Bird scooter renter. Okay,
Yeah, we're just talking about millennials, furry kitten.
yeah, that doesn't.
Mostly the youngsters.
I don't see anything here for prices for Bird and
You probably won't because it will vary by city to city and that sort of thing. And then the other day, um, I
Right.
was down at the Honda place, right? And
Uh-huh.
where I live, the slingshot's a huge deal, right? Everybody's buying slingshot.
Oh, that sling. Okay, here we go. Lime, $1 to start and 15 cents a minute.
Shit.
Yep, that's fif- 15 to 25 cents a minute. Wow. $1 to unlock the scooter and a fixed rate of 15 to 25 cents per minute uh, that you've got it out. Those things that's expensive.
Yep.
You could run up, and the reason why, I mean, I remember my first, when I first got internet and it was 10 cents a minute,
Yeah.
and my first bill was over $600. So yeah, you better know exactly where you're going on that line in the shortest way there at 15 cents a minute. Uh, who I saw uh, an electric Harley a couple weeks ago. So, but yeah, you were talking about that slingshot. My only problem with that slingshot is somebody my age can't get into them unless you are extremely. You've got to be very young and limber to get inside that damn thing. Still there?
Yep. Still here.
Okay.
No, I agree with you. You do, and not a lot of leg room. And it surprised me how many people in their 40s and 50s are buying those. Not only that, but you can get a new car for the price of one of those.
Okay. They're made by Can Am, aren't they?
Yeah, I believe so.
Now I do like the Can Am trike.
Yeah. Oh,
I
the one
have
with
to.
the two wheels in front,
Yeah.
the spider.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think those are kind of cool too. Um, I remember one day at work, I asked this young lady that I worked with. I said, "Hey, if I got myself one of those, would that increase my coolness factor?"
What'd
And
she say?
she looked at me and she goes, "You already have a pretty good coolness factor for an old dude." And I'm like, "Wow,
That hurts.
it's not the answer I was hoping for, but okay."
That sounds painful.
Hell, actually, I will. To be honest with you, I found it pretty hilarious.
All right. So what's next here? Buying a home. They just can't afford to buy a house anymore.
It's not just that. More to it than that. It's not just a affordability thing, but a lot of it has to do with the fact that they would rather rent because they don't want to be bothered with all the home maintenance stuff. And plus, when you rent, you have extra amenities in that, the swimming pool and, the clubhouse with the social activities and that sort of thing. Is actually is actually the bigger part of it, believe it or not.
Uh, okay.
I know. In
To
our
me,
world, that seems weird.
it's the price of housing the past 3 years has jumped up so bad. I just don't see how people can afford to come up with down payments on them anymore.
Well, that's a big part of it, but the whole millennials and younger, the millennials and stuff, buying houses is not that's been a thing for a while because a lot of them see because a lot of them say, well, we can rent this place. So when they're young and don't have children yet, right? So renting a place that has the pool and the social activities and the partying and all that is great. Then as they get older, they move into more of an upscale place, and as they have kids, they can rent a bigger place. But then, so the maintenance and the replacing of the roof and all the stuff that you and I do normally and take for granted as part of home ownership, they
Right.
no longer have to deal with that. And once that place gets old and boring to them, they can move on to something newer and better. So there's more to it than just the affordability. The affordability is a huge factor, don't get me wrong, but that's not the only thing. I find that quite interesting.
Okay. Well, here's an idea. Let's save the rest of these for tomorrow for part of the fun stream.
Oh yeah.
All right. And
See, especially seeing how our young Roman there is kind of in that millennial thing.
yeah, I
That would be interesting to hear her perspective.
I want to share this video with you before we leave.
Okay. Is
Okay.
this something I can
You
make fun of?
oh yes. Definitely something you can make fun of.
A couple of things. First, but I just came out here to clear his name because I don't want him to go to jail or nothing like that. And I know they looking for him. They're not gonna find him. He at my mama house. Him and James at my mama house, chilling. No, they waiting for me to pick them up right now. But I'm about to leave. Is this live? This is live. Hey, James and Big Mike, if y'all watching, I'm on my way to come get y'all now, dog. Y'all know I got y'all. Y'all know I got y'all. You know my mans, baby. You know I got you. Even though we ain't officially married, after I do this, you better marry me after I do this. But I want to give a shout out to my Instagram real quick. And she tally. I can't do that. But I just came.
Oh my God, just ratted him out.
Oh, yeah, I know the police are looking for them, and they'll never find them because they hide down at my mama's house.
Yeah. Yeah, my mom's house. Well, here's my Instagram. So that way now you know where I live. Yeah, see.
And then I like the way you better marry me now.
Yeah.
I'm doing all this for you. You better marry me now.
Not a smart person. Gave their names and everything. Yeah, that's the follow-up article. 10 minutes later they were arrested. And
yeah, you're right. You're exactly right.
what's that?
Fury says he's got a spare brain cell he can donate because her single neuron is getting lonely.
Yeah. That definitely needs to happen. Make that happen, Fury.
She needs more than one. I think she needs a half a dozen or so donated because
I don't think they do brain transplants anymore. Because obviously, so when they were handing out brains, she thought they said trains, and she wanted a big empty one.
Let's see.
I know that's old school, old, but it's a good joke.
All right. Now here's a substitute teacher that will not be a substitute teacher for much longer, or this was her last day of being a substitute teacher.
Either way.
A substitute teacher in Texas was caught on video allegedly encouraging middle school students to fight in their classroom. Nearly 10 minutes of video recorded by a student shows 2 fights. The teacher starts by warning kids not to film with their phones.
I'm going to take it away, and I'll send it to the office, and then you'll pay for it.
She tells one student to stay on guard.
Stand by that door and hold it in case somebody comes in.
And tells another to put 30 seconds on the clock.
30 seconds. When starts the clock, that's when it goes.
After the first 2 students fight, classmates say that at least one of them is bleeding.
Is he really?
The substitute responds by hushing the class and saying,
Can't play again if you're talking.
the substitute, who hasn't been named, was fired last week, and the district sent the matter to police.
I do not want this on record.
A substitute teacher in
Yeah.
Imagine that. Don't want that on record. Huh. Go figure.
That
Yeah, see, I agree with you, Johnny. Back in the day, when stuff like that would kick off at school, teachers would tell us, wait till after school, take it off school grounds.
all right, Spittle, you go get some rest. We'll see y'all later. See you tomorrow.
See you later, Spittle. I wonder if Becca's still, she must be lurking.
Yeah, she's at work.
Yeah.
And let's see, did she get arrested? I hope she spent some time in jail, Johnny. Somebody like that definitely needs to be in jail.
I don't know. Part of me says, let the kids fight. Another part of me is like, yeah, it's probably not a good thing to encourage it.
Not in the classroom. Okay.
Yeah, not in the
Now-
classroom. After school is fine.
What our teachers told us was if we had a beef, was we took it out behind the FFA barn after school.
Yeah.
All right. And, everybody knew, especially on Friday night, behind the FFA barn is where it was happening. The teachers stayed away from the FFA barn. The administrators stayed away from the FFA barn. Anybody who did not have a reason to be in the FFA barn stayed away from there. And the first aid kit just happened to be out in the wide, broad open.
Go figure.
Okay. And it had plenty of Benadine solution, gauze, tape, and Band-Aids in it. Okay, FFA, for those who don't know, is Future Farmers of America.
I thought it stood for something completely different.
Well, I can't. I don't want to assume everybody knows. Like they used to have
Now I feel
FHA.
silly.
Here's an organization I doubt if even that I don't know if it even exists anymore. The FHA, the Future Homemakers of America.
Yeah, no, I think that kind of went away.
But Future Homemakers of America. Let's see here. It is still around.
Is it really?
They've got a what? National what, 770,000 members? No, 164,000 members in the United States alone. Wow. That is still around. Oh, it's now known as the Family, Career, and Community Leaders of America, formerly known as Future Homemakers of America. Okay, still glad to see it's still around. My sister was FHA member.
Huh.
No, it's not the same thing as the Reichsmarchtenjunge.
How do you know?
The Reichsmarchtenjunge, yeah, no, not the same thing. They're not teaching that. Okay.
I have no idea what any of that is. So
That was the uh, Hitler Youth for Women.
well,
Okay,
I learned something new today.
so
I feel inspired.
Fury probably would be something similar to your Young Farmers Association. Yeah, Data, we're going to save the rest of this other list until tomorrow because there's another 20 on there. So we're going to save the rest of it for tomorrow. All right, we did them because that's 2 hours we've already covered here today.
Wow, time flies when I'm making fun of you.
And I didn't even get to talk about actually agreeing partially with Jerry Nadler today. So that'll have to wait till next week.
Partially agreeing with Jerry Nadler.
Jerry agreeing with Jerry Nadler, yes.
Oh, that's kind of weird.
I know. It's odd that it's something's really misaligned in the stars when I say I agree with something Jerry Nadler's got to say.
Yeah, that's kind of weird.
So I'll save that for next week, or another stream.
Is this like Revenge of the Body Snatchers or some sort of thing going on? Yeah, I'm saying.
Well, let's see. Well, I've got 13 more minutes before I can leave.
All right.
I've got my leg hooked up to a machine, so I got 13 more minutes. Oh, crap! Do I want to do this now or wait?
Totally up to you.
Uh,
You tell me.
all right. Let me see if I can find the Nadler video because I closed it and now can I find it? Let's see. It was. Let me find Nadler. All right. Okay. Now ignore what Forbes is getting into clickbait. So
Yeah.
I'm getting disappointed in Forbes here. They're getting into clickbait.
Yeah, well, I've never been a big fan of Forbes, so.
All right. This Anthony D'Esposito, he's proposing a bill to increase protections for police.
Okay.
All right. I need to mute here for a second.
Well, while he's muted, we can talk about whatever we want to. So that's always fun. See, never hang up until you actually come to the end, because 27 reasons why Forbes not clickbait. Number 17 will shock you. Exactly, Fury. Exactly. I'm still waiting for mental arithmetic. Yeah, it's never going to happen. Afternoon again? Yeah. So is this the last over? Yeah, no. It's never over till it's completely over till until he gives his words of wisdom. So yeah, it's kind of how it goes. You know, it's over when it's over.
Okay, I'm back. All right. This sorry about that. Pharmacy calling me about my pain pills. All right. The this Republican has a bill that will increase and strengthen protections for police. The problem, but let's just listen to Nadler and what he's got to say about it here.
The gentleman is recognized.
Thank you. Mr. Speaker, I oppose the Esposito Amendment as its central focus is advocacy for the Law Enforcement Officers' Bill of Rights, a controversial measure pushed by police unions and adopted by many states in response to demands for greater accountability and transparency following many high-profile incidents of police abuse and misconduct.
Okay. The blue liners,
Yeah.
what I like to call them, the blue liners, the people who think the police do no wrong. I'm sorry. I'm one of these guys that believe that police need to lose their qualified immunity. They should not get automatic qualified immunity anymore. In fact, qualified immunity ought to be pretty damned rare. Because any cop out there who's enforcing the laws should be aware of the laws that they are enforcing. And you and I don't have the excuse, well, I didn't know. The old Saul, ignorance of the law is no excuse.
Yeah.
Oh, you didn't know that area was a 45 zone because you pulled out onto that section of the road after the speed limit sign? Too bad. You're still getting a ticket for doing 60 in a 45 or 55 in a 45 or whatever. Oh, you didn't know that particular weapon became illegal yesterday? Too bad. You're still being arrested for it. You didn't know you had to have this piece of paperwork turned in 2 weeks ago? Too bad. But the police have got this. Somehow the courts have decided that the police unless it's settled case law, the police officer can't be held responsible for not knowing what the law was. So,
while seemingly benign, the impact of a Bill of Rights for law enforcement officers can be profound. For decades, this type of legislation has been one of the greatest obstacles to police accountability, hindering investigations and shielding misconduct from public scrutiny. A likely explanation for why less than half of all states have adopted one. In Maryland, the first state to adopt and the first state to repeal an officer's Bill of Rights, the statute was also often cited as the reason for Baltimore's long history of police misconduct. In many instances, the statutes offer protections and procedural privileges to law enforcement officers facing accusations of wrongdoing or disciplinary action far beyond those accorded to other government employees or to the average citizen.
No government employee should have any protection that the average citizen doesn't have.
Okay.
Again, try to convince me. Somebody, please try to convince me I'm wrong. But just because you work for the government, that doesn't mean you get special rights or special protections.
Yeah, well, if Congress is willing to take that same deal, I'm 100% agree.
The average civilian accused of criminal behavior. For instance, some states provide officers involved in an incident a cooling off period of 24 hours or so before they must cooperate with internal investigators. During this cooling off period, an officer and his or her attorney may have access to evidence collected during the investigation before the officer is interviewed.
Now, when's the last time have you seen somebody who was arrested for a crime, any kind of a crime, and said, "We're arresting you for this crime, but we can't talk to you about it until tomorrow to give you a chance to calm down, to cool off, to take a look at what kind of evidence we have." But for some reason, the police in some areas get this kind of privilege that they get 24 hours to talk to their lawyers before they're even brought before investigatory people.
And through these statutes, officers are shielded from the very interview tactics that they use on civilians, such as lengthy interrogations, or the use of aggressive or threatening questioning, or promises or rewards to induce cooperation, both of which this amendment suggests should be avoided to ensure the fair administration of justice when investigating officer misconduct. And only
Now, I've been on the receiving end of these investigatory interviews by the police. And remember, the police are allowed to lie to you. Plain and simple.
Yes, they are.
They are allowed to lie. They are allowed to promise whatever they want to promise. And there's nothing, unless you get it in writing, signed by the prosecutor, by the district attorney, whatever that cop promises you isn't worth a hill of beans. But they can stand there and say, yes, we will promise that this won't happen, or this will happen, or whatever.
Yep. This is true.
And they're allowed to get as nasty. The only thing they're not allowed to do is touch you. But they can get as nasty and cuss you out and use as they want to get. The only thing they can't do is lay a hand on you.
only officer misconduct. These laws can allow officers accused of wrongdoing to remain on duty for prolonged periods of time while investigations are conducted, as well as limit the types of disciplinary actions that can be taken against officers accused of wrongdoing. They also often limit the authority of civilian review boards and make it difficult for the public to access information about officers' misconduct in disciplinary proceedings, and ultimately for civilians to hold officers accountable.
Every police officer's disciplinary record should be public. They should not be able to hide behind employee confidentiality.
Yeah.
Every government employee, their disciplinary records should be public. Have they been in trouble for this before? Yes, they have. What did they do and what kind of punishment was meted out? Oh, he's got a habit of doing this and all he ever gets is a little talking to in the office. So for a change, I actually agree with Nadler here. Government employees of any kind, this just happens to be about the police. Their records should not, their disciplinary records should not be able to be sealed.
Yeah.
Because they are government employees. They are public servants. I think that's a problem a lot of these government employees have, is they forget that they work for the public. They work for us.
Yes, they do. And Congress can't seem to get that through their head.
Oh, well, yeah, you're right. It starts at Congress and works its way down. But your local police officers, your local judges, your local, the guy that, tax collector, the person that works in the tax collector's office, the mayor's secretary. Have you ever had to go in and deal with a city manager or a mayor's office or your city hall and you get nothing but the snotty attitude of the people working there?
Oh, yeah.
They forget that they're there to serve us, not the other way around. And their stupid ass policies, most of them should not be in effect because it's just there. An argument I got into here not too long ago was I wanted a copy of a accident report that I was in.
Yeah.
They wanted to charge me $6 a page for printing out the accident report. All right. This was paper that was bought with my tax dollars, printed on a printer that was paid for with my tax dollars, processed by a computer that was paid for with my tax dollars, operated by a person who is paid for by my tax dollars. So why should I be paying to have them print out or email me an accident report that's 3 pages long? I've already paid for it with my tax dollars.
Yeah. Did you remind them that when you're in office? Because they really like that.
Oh, of course I said that. And you're right. They
Yeah.
really like it when you break that logic out on them. They just love it because, that just gets you even shittier treatment.
Yeah. Well, I hate to do this to you, but real life is intruding, so I must
All right.
I must dip out. But yeah, so I see where you come from on this. And I'm not going to argue with you. I'm just going to let it go.
It just infuriates. And why should a police officer's disciplinary report be hidden from us?
There is why should the Nashville Shooter Manifesto be hidden from us? Why should a lot of things be hidden from us? And you know what? This is a whole discussion for another day because I could go on for hours about this.
All right. Well, we'll save this for a discussion for another day then. It's Spittlebug. It's only even by court BS.
Yeah, and it's not wrong.
Yep. So, all right. Well, then your real life intrude. So we'll go ahead and call it a day. We'll finish up this other boomer thing for tomorrow.
Yeah, let's do that.
And everybody, words of wisdom before you leave.
Words of wisdom. All right. Smoke meat, not drugs.
Eat real meat, not fake.
That's right. That's right. And if you have to, kill it yourself.
Exactly. All right, everybody, have a good day. Be with the ones you love and love the ones that you're with. We'll be back tomorrow. Bye.
Bye now.